Welcome back to Garden Talk, brought to you by the Penn State Erie County Extension Master Gardeners. I'm your co-host for today, Mike Bailey, along with Ellen DePlacido. Good morning, Ellen.
Good morning,
Hey,
Mike.
last time around, we started talking about disease prevention and treatment in the vegetable garden. And we got down to a certain point in our cultural approaches, okay, which is the most important thing for keeping plants healthy. And one of the last things that we talked about was this proper spacing and trellising, which really kind of allows plants to dry out because a lot of these fungal and bacterial diseases kind of get their start on plants that are moist. So keeping plants, designing something to have your plants, grow up in a vertical manner is really kind of very helpful to help them dry out and prevent a lot of these diseases. And that's especially true with, like we mentioned, with the tomatoes and the cucumbers and the beans and the peas. And this is very important lately because we've had a lot of rain, haven't we?
We
And
have,
a lot
yes.
of hard rains, and this kind of leads us into proper watering for you to pick
Right.
up on that, Alan.
Well,
We
well, I
haven't
think,
haven't had to do a lot of that lately, have we?
no, and I think what I want to say is proper watering means water only when it's needed. Okay.
Yes.
Um, Proper watering also means overhead watering is probably the least desirable because, again, you're getting the foliage wet, and that's where the diseases, a lot of the diseases can start. So water at the base of your plants, and we have found that drip irrigation works very well. That's what we're using at Emmaus now. Make sure that the moisture is very uniform, but not wet is the best. And never, never work in your garden when the leaves are wet because that promotes diseases, it spreads diseases. And also, I would like to add that if you have a small garden, hand watering is fine, just as long as you're watering from below and keeping that soil moisture uniform. Mulching, that helps prevent soil splash, which causes a lot of fungus and bacterial diseases. And it also helps to maintain good soil moisture, and it does keep down the weeds, and it moderates the soil temperature so that your soil doesn't get too hot.
Yeah,
Um,
mulch is wonderful. If I could just throw
it
that in,
is.
okay, to do
Mm-hmm.
that. And materials that we use for mulch at Emmaus, we
Mm-hmm.
use grass clippings and we use straw
Mm-hmm.
primarily, okay, during the summer to do that. So because it's readily available.
Right.
So yeah, preventing those splashes of that fungal
Mm-hmm.
material and bacterial, components are really important. So go ahead,
And
Ellen.
I'd like to add also that we can use the grass clippings at Emmaus because that grass is never treated with herbicides or anything like that. So
Yep.
it's good grass.
Good point. Good point.
Um, Proper fertilization and organic matter. Proper pH and nutrients are very important. Organic material enhances that microbial diversity that keeps those disease organisms under control. That's why it's good to use your straw and your bark and your grass. And also, if you have your own compost, that would add a lot of that good organic material to your garden. Weed control, that's one of my pet peeves.
Mm-hmm.
They can be a source of diseases that are transmitted or can be transmitted by insects. They also take up the nutrients and the moisture that your vegetable plants need. So they're competing against each other. So keep those weeds under control. Nematode control, we've talked about those. Those are those organic uh, roundworms in the soil. And most vegetables are susceptible to nematode damage. Um, Good microbial activity, again, good crop rotation, using resistant varieties and other biocontrol products can be helpful, but nematodes are active probably more so than your insects and your fungus and your viruses all year long. And sanitation, okay, that's another one of my pet peeves. Clean your garden in the fall and in the spring. Remove diseased plants immediately if you see any of those that are in there. And then when you're done harvesting, remove your old plants from your garden. And then also watch out for your lower leaf problems. The lower leaves on your plants, can spread those diseases and insects. So if you see lower leaves that are having problems, take them off your plants.
Very good, Ellen. Okay, and there's no truth to the idea that Ellen hires out here to do weed control and sanitation in gardens. Ellen's AAA weed control and sanitation.
Maybe my second job.
Maybe there's an idea.
Yeah.
Okay, that was a good review of all the cultural practices that can be employed to keep garden plants healthy and avoid diseases. But just like people, sometimes all the wrong planets kind of line up, and sometimes you suffer disease despite your best efforts. The plant to people analogy, can be carried a little bit further. Okay, I worked in healthcare all my life, so this kind of has special meaning to me. Okay, the problem is, we have a lot of good approaches to dealing with diseases in people. Whether it be surgery, medicine, therapy, or whatever. A lot of things can be cured or controlled. But when it comes to plants, it's an entirely different story. With the home garden, we don't have any nice magic bullets to make plants better. It's all about prevention, as we mentioned, in the last multiple programs, really.
Right.
Okay. So, Ellen, I think that University of Georgia articles, what does that say about this whole thing?
Yeah, it's very clear. The article states, and I quote this, most types of vegetables can be grown most years in the home garden without the use of any pesticides. The important thing is to, and that's unquote, okay, use these cultural practices. The substances that are available for home gardeners is not nearly as effective as the products that are available for commercial growers. So it's very important to use these cultural practices that we've just talked about.
Yeah, you're right. What you and I can buy off the shelf at the garden center or the department store, okay, entirely are different, or what is available to commercial growers who go through quite a bit of training, okay, and are certified, okay, to apply certain types of pesticides and fungicides, et cetera, and stuff like that. But those things are not available to us. So where does that leave us? Okay, let's take a look at ways to deal with the fungal disease and bacterial and problems and viruses and nematodes, kind of in that order. But we've used up all of our time for this session, so we're gonna have to pick up on that next time around. So thank you for listening, and hope you're with us next time. Bye bye now.
Bye.